Hi guys, we always thought Priti Patel was a horrid character, but Suella Braverman dwarfs her callousness. And I think there's a realisation within the Conservative Party that Sunak will lose the next general election, so the party will rip itself apart over his successor. Many headbangers who are members want Suella Braverman in charge, while MPs, whatever's left of them after the next general election, will no doubt prefer to have somebody a bit more middle of the road. Now, in an attempt to boost her credentials with the far right of her party, she attacked Labour once again over immigration and asylum. In the pro-Tory Express, they ran with the headline "Sabotage," and then comments of hers about Stommer blocking her from removing people, and noticed the subtitle about Labour clearing the backlog of deportations, not asylum claims.
She told the Sunday Express Keir Starmer is secretly delighted at his web of cronies' schemes to block our plans to stop the boats. He's in this for political point scoring and doesn't care about what's good for the country or the British people.
Wow, accuse others of what you were doing yourself.
He's even successfully campaigned to halt this government's attempts to deport vile foreign criminals, including rapists and murderers, a total betrayal of their victims, all so he could attack the government.
Which is, of course, a lie. But it doesn't matter because you can lie and get away with it.
Well, joining us in the studio is Matthew Thompson. So, look, this is fighting talk, isn't it? A war of words, as you said earlier.
Yes.
It's quite bold, though, isn't it, from the Home Secretary?
I mean, it is. And, the front page of the Daily Express says it all. Sabotage. This is a clear attempt to portray Labour as in some ways, acting against the government's plans on illegal migration. Illegal migration is going to feature more and more in the news as we head into a potential election, as early as next year, who knows. It's a key issue for lots of the demographics that both parties are trying to target. And so that's why we're seeing it so prominently. But what's different about this, I think, is that it's almost a singling out, because the Express actually names one of these so-called web of cronies that the Home Secretary is referencing, which is a woman called Jacqueline McKenzie, who is a Labour Party advisor. She's helping advise the Labour Party on their election manifesto, in fact. But she's also a director of a charity called Detention Action, which has done a lot of legal work against not just the Rwanda plan, but lots of Home Office immigration policies. Sky News actually caught up with her last night and asked her for her reaction to being at the centre of this latest political storm.
It's really worrying because, this is endangering. I'm someone that gets quite a lot of hate mail. One of my colleagues has already had a physical attack, and somebody is on trial for an attempted murder of him. And yet the government thinks it's okay to target individual lawyers who are simply doing their job. It is unacceptable. It's almost difficult to understand how anyone could think this is a rational thing to do.
It's about playing with fire. Suella Braverman is playing with fire, and she doesn't care who gets burnt because she knows she won't get burnt. She doesn't care if lawyers get attacked. She doesn't care if they get threatened, and perhaps even she doesn't care if they get murdered. Now, if somebody does get attacked, she'll probably come out after and condemn it, but she doesn't care about the language she's using here. And in the Express, a web of cronies fighting against the government. This is not robust political discussion. That robust political discussion should be taking place in the House of Commons. That's its purpose. The government to present its policies and the opposition to criticise them. Instead, what Suella Braverman is doing here is going to a right-wing newspaper that is going to present her position uncritically. And who's going to read this newspaper? Right-wing headbangers, people who are impressionable, people who will read this and say, "Oh, the real enemy is a lady like this. The real enemy is the Labour Party." And these people are not. If you're reading the Express, there's a problem, okay? Because it does not present facts. It does not present the news. It's a propaganda piece. And there's a real risk here that someone's going to get hurt or worse. But this is about Suella Braverman boosting her career credentials. This is about her eventually becoming leader of the Conservative Party. I don't think she'll ever become Prime Minister. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, we saw who's come before. But this is her goal, to become the leader of the Conservative Party. And she doesn't care who she walks on in order to achieve that. And throwing, lawyers under the bus, the Labour Party under the bus. As I said, if she wants to debate these things, do it in the House of Commons. But she's a bit of a coward when it comes to that as well. Sometimes she doesn't bother to turn up. Instead, run to a right-wing newspaper that is going to just regurgitate your talking points. And, if we go back to the headline, sabotage. And it's not just attacking the Labour Party, because, the Labour Party represents its constituents. It should represent its constituents. But they are public representatives. But it's also attacking people who are not politicians. People who don't have protection from the police like MPs do. This is extremely concerning. You have a right-wing newspaper talking about sabotage on the issue of asylum. And we've seen before how this issue has been weaponized. Nigel Farage weaponized it during the Brexit debate. And the Tories have nothing left. So they point to immigration as their only way out. They can't run on the economy. They can't run on the NHS. They can't run on anything else. So all they have left is immigration. And they continue to weaponize it. Knowing that there are crazy people out there who will pick up the likes of the Express and say, well, this must be the truth. And if these people are sabotaging the Home Secretary, who is the government, then these people are the enemies of the state. This is extremely concerning and deeply worrying. And the worst part of it is that if something happens, the Tories will say it was nothing to do with us. Or they will condemn it and say these things happen. Let's bring in more legislation to protect government ministers or protect MPs. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.